Well, good evening to my fellow tinfoil hats. I am just another tinfoil hat. Welcome to my Friday night Screen Screams review, where I will discuss what spooky movie has captured my attention, spoiler-free, of course. Given that the release date for this particular review is Valentine's Day, which, Happy Hearts Day, everybody, I thought it was only appropriate to review a Valentine's-themed horror movie. So today, we will be discussing the 2009 remake of My Bloody Valentine. Valentine's Day 1997. Six miners are trapped in a cave-in in a mine, which is caused by the mine owner's son, Tom Hanager, played by Supernatural's Jensen Ackles, forgetting to bleed the methane from the tunnel into which they were going. So it causes this major cave-in and traps these six miners. Now, unfortunately, there was only one survivor, Harry Warden. And when I say that he was the only survivor, what I actually mean to say is that he did the old pickaxe through the brain trick to all of his coworkers, ensuring that there was enough air to let him survive for however long he possibly could before he was rescued, and rescued he was. However, he was in a coma, which he stayed in for exactly a year, waking up on the next Valentine's Day. So, 1 year later, Valentine's Day 1998, Harry Warden wakes up from his coma in the hospital, and this is a stunning scene from the perspective of slasher movies. He wakes up and he goes on this killing spree, which, truthfully, it rivals every other classic slasher, especially of the masked variety. Literally, it seems as though everyone in the hospital was sliced up, bisected, or in the case of one particular victim, had their heart ripped out and put into, and this is very cheesy, a heart-shaped box of chocolates for Valentine's Day. And again, when I bring up any other masked slasher, it's because Harry Warden does this and then dons his old mining gear, which includes the gas mask. And this is just very iconic. I am a huge sucker for just amazing character design, and especially when it comes to the slasher or the villain in a horror movie, just bringing that level of iconography to a character, it's fantastic. The gas mask was an excellent, excellent touch. And so anyway, he puts on this gas mask and then marches down to a teeny bopper Valentine's Day party, which is being held, where else would you hold a party? In the mines. So at the entrance to the mine, with all of these kids milling around and thinking about Valentine's Day and setting up this party, we meet up again with Tom Hanager, the boy who caused the cave-in, who is dating Sarah Mercer, as well as Sarah's friends Axel Palmer and his girlfriend Irene, who is only too quick to point out that Axel is definitely way more interested in Sarah than he is in her. More on that later, believe me. Now, Tom kind of stalls going into the mine. Of course, this is a source of trauma for him, being the one that started the cave-in, which led to the deaths of 5 people, even though they were actually murdered by the guy who is unknown to all of these kids, about to come on a murderous rampage, which is exactly what happens. As Sarah goes ahead into the mines to wait up for Tom, Warden comes and starts yet another, I don't know what you call, segment of his killing spree, another branch of his killing spree, another era of his killing spree, whatever. He keeps on with this killing spree. Sarah survives thanks to Axel, who also rescues Irene and then tries to leave Tom, who enters the mine a bit later, sees Warden, and just absolutely kind of loses it, almost goes into this dissociative state. He tries to leave Tom in the bloody, bloody dust. However, the cops arrive just in time and take shots at Warden, who flees deeper into the mines. And time skip. So, 10 years later, after Hanager Sr. dies, Tom is back. He vanished for these 10 years, but he is back to settle business and sell the mine. We catch up with Axel, now Sheriff Palmer, and find out that he's married to Sarah. Oh, and also he has a kid with her, and also he's having an affair with her coworker Megan, who, surprise, surprise, is pregnant with his baby. Now, I'll be honest, this is a slasher movie, and for that, I love it. It is very soap opera-ish. So there's several love triangles that kind of overlap, it seems like. Now, regardless, Axel is super possessive of Sarah, especially with Tom back in town. Classic case of projection, if you ask me. Now, we also get to catch up with Irene, who is, let's just say, very involved with a married trucker in the Thunderbird Motel, where Tom is also staying. Now, this involvement doesn't last very long, as suddenly a man in mining gear and a gas mask shows up and brutally murders the couple as well as the motel owner. Now, Irene's heart eventually shows up in a chocolate box addressed to Sheriff Palmer. Now, rumors start that Warden is somehow back from the dead to finish what he started, which is apparently killing everyone in town. Or maybe he wasn't dead at all. This is what Tom thinks after the miner shows up while Tom is in the mines discussing business with some of the mine workers and managers. And the miner shows up, locks him in a utility cage, and then has him watch as the miner brutally murders a miner. So, a mine worker. The miner, capital M, murders a miner, lowercase m. Anyway, unfortunately, though, for everyone, this theory doesn't hold water, as several of the town fathers admit that after Warden went on his killing spree at the hospital and at the Valentine's Day dance, they followed him deeper and deeper into the mines and eventually gunned him down and buried him in a very shallow grave out in the woods. It's amazing to me that they kept this secret because I swear they take, several people, including Axel, Sarah, and Tom, to the grave to show them, like, hey, he's dead, he's here. I don't know how it was a secret because it literally was like just on the ground. So, maybe a little bit more forethought, but again, slasher flicks. It has slasher logic. Anyway, so they go to the grave and find it empty. Now, that is not all that Tom finds either. He comes across the cabin in the woods, dirty and full of rats, that Axel has been using for his affair with Megan. And in this cabin, there is plenty of evidence, including a Valentine that's literally addressed to Axel from Megan. I think I've said this like 5 times now. Again, the truth is, this is a slasher flick. Not much really happens except for character after character being violently picked off. And I will be also honest about this. This is a fun movie. I mean, extremely fun, hyper violent, and if I'm being totally honest, a little light on the cerebral side. It's the sort of movie that if you're thinking, darn, I just want a slasher flick that I can just kind of put on, and just kind of watch, this is exactly why you'd watch this. That's about the extent of its worth. And again, it is worth it. It's fun. It's a fun watch. It's not really spooky. It's a little like jump scare-y, I guess you could say, but fun is literally the best word I could have to describe it. Plus, too, if you're a Supernatural fan, it is freaking hilarious to watch Jensen Ackles as something other than Dean Winchester. Because it's kind of hard to imagine that he's not just Dean Winchester. Like, I kept on seeing shots of this movie and I'm like, what the hell is Dean doing here? The style of this movie is fantastic. I mean, the small town, this main source of business is the mine, the image of the miner being a symbol of both what the town is and also what it fears. It's all really excellent. And again, the murders, the actual slashing, are extremely stylish. That opening scene in the hospital, with all of the just bisected victims and body parts and the Valentine hearts in blood on the walls. It was awesome. And two, this is actually after the initial, like, actual opening scene while the credits are rolling, where they set up, the mine cave in and the 6 men were down there. Only one came out and they show Tom Hanager. It was very, very stylish. Not to mention, this, much like another movie that I really enjoyed, The Midnight Meat Train, was filmed for 3D. So you have all of these scenes of like pickaxes and tree branches and bullets and body parts that are like zooming really close to the viewer. And I think, in my opinion, it translates really well even when viewed on just a normal screen. It is gimmicky, yes, but yet again, it's a fun gimmick. All told, given the end of the movie, which I will discuss in my Patreon exclusive part 2 of this video, I did give it a 7 out of 10. Is it a great film? No. Based on that, it should be lower. However, I had fun watching it, and that is definitely why I rated it quite as high as I did. Well, if you've seen this movie, please give your opinion in the comments below. And if you haven't, and you want some fun, hyper-violent slasher flick to watch on Valentine's Day, give it a watch. If you like hearing me talk about all things horror and even more things bizarre, please subscribe to my channel to see what weirdness the future may have in store. And for part 2 of this review, go ahead and check out my Patreon. For today, I am Zelia Edgar, signing off.